Character of the week. So, first and foremost, it's my 100th episode on Blerds and Whiskey doing Character of the Week. So, let's clap it up for that. Second of all, it's Women's History Month. So, who better to kick this off with than, I would say the First Lady of DC Comics, Selina Kyle, better known as the Catwoman, or Catwoman, no one says the, it varies. Created in the 1940s, Selina Kyle is probably one of the longest running Batman characters along with the Joker. At least Selina Kyle is definitely the longest running, but she didn't become the Catwoman until later on, a few issues later. And even then, she wasn't really the Catwoman, she was just called the Cat. And her original costume leaves a lot to be desired. Yo, what the is that? What is that? I can imagine that wasn't really appealing, which is funny because the original creators of Catwoman modeled her after the Hollywood starlets of the time, the femme fatale, somewhat like a foil to Batman. The original creator was credited for saying he compared women to cats, being standoffish and alluring, and you know what? It was the 40s and it was an old white guy. Enough said. She's been through a lot of costume changes throughout the years. After that horrific cat mask, she then started wearing this cat ears dress cape type outfit. Then she became the Catwoman. Like in the 60s, she started donning the black costume played by Julie Newmar, Eartha Kitt. You know what? It doesn't even matter who else after that. It's Eartha Kitt, and that's just 100% Catwoman right there. I know she was making white America feel so uncomfortable. And I love it. I love Eartha Kitt. Anyway, folks. Between 1954 and 1970 something, she took a hiatus due to the Comic Codes of Authority and one of their weird rules. I'm going to assume it's probably something to do with that cat costume and her being a woman, and naturally that leads to her origin story. Her story in general is probably retconned so many times. One, because DC can never keep a story straight. Two, they got too many like Elseworlds, Outworlds, multiverses, and stuff like that. So it was later cleaned up, but her origin story begins as a young woman under two abusive parents. Mom committed suicide. Dad blamed her. He pretty much drank himself to death, leaving Selina Kyle to pretty much befriend nobody but cats and then live on the streets. To survive, she started stealing. That combined with her natural gymnastics ability, thief skills, bad origin story, kid from the streets, eventually becomes a cat burglar. So eventually she made her way up into the high class society where she meets people like Bruce Wayne and steals from like those rich people and stuff like that. She's always been toyed the line between good and evil. Like she started just robbing only bad people, but then that turned to just robbing people. Batman would always try to convince her to do right. So occasionally she's like a foe, so occasionally she's their friend, always a love interest, always conflicting with Batman. I guess you could say Batman has a thing for her. She didn't get like a solo series till like the 90s, thanks to artists like Jim Ballant. I have to thank Jim Ballant for creating such iconic figures for Catwoman. Throughout several publications of Catwoman, as I mentioned before, she was in the 1960s Batman TV show with like 3 different people playing her. She's been featured in the Batman the Animated Series. She's been featured in the Harley Quinn show. She was featured in variations of every Batman story between Brave and the Bold, The Batman. She's been in several movies played by Michelle Pfeiffer. We try not to remember Halle Berry's version of Catwoman. I mean, my God. She's also been played by Anne Hathaway. Recently, she's played by Zoe Kravitz, Chef's Kiss. So Catwoman will always be an alluring Gotham siren. We salute you, and I kept my cat puns down to a minimum. Back to you guys. Like, share, subscribe.